Welcome back. I'm Kristen Eargle. I'm joined by Landon Goesling, the Vice President at TheLinkU. You guys are a revenue generating resource. I bet your phone has been blowing up here. Everybody's probably asking you a ton of questions at NACTA.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, definitely. Finding new revenue streams is definitely a hot topic right now.
Yeah, without question. And we're recording this from the NACTA 2025 convention. It might be aired at a later date, but I mean, such hot topics. But I want to go back to how you guys started as a company. Walk me through that process.
Yeah, so I played basketball at the University of Houston, grad assistant coached for a year, was working in a development office pre-NIL, and developed some relationships with some of our donors who are high-level business entrepreneurs. NIL law passed, and it was took the entire nation by storm, right? And so, we sat down first to help our alma mater, but more importantly was, we ended up being a 4-hour brainstorming session of like, you know, the law has passed, but what does this look like in 5 years? What does this look like in 10 years? And I feel like that's an advantage that we had from day one, was thinking long term, knowing that the House settlement was coming at some point. And so building out a structure and ecosystem that would work and stand the test of times was extremely important to us. And so we kind of built out a business model that we believed would work. And we kind of ran with it. And now here we are. We were just talking about it, but 2 or 3 years later, and it feels like 10.
Doesn't it though?
Because it's changed so much. But again, we've kind of positioned ourselves perfect for this time right now.
Okay, specifically from a practical sense, what exactly do you do?
Yeah, so what we do is we're bringing an alternative revenue stream to universities that's completely different and does not impact the donor dollar or their MMR partnerships. And the donor dollar is very, very important because donor fatigue is a thing right now, a major, major thing. And so we knew that to be an asset, we needed to figure out what those different avenues were that we can drive revenue for these universities that don't impact the initiatives they have going on right now.
Why do you think that your product has resonated, I guess, with administrators? I mean, why do you think you guys have grown so drastically?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of a couple things. One, again, is not impacting the initiatives they have on campus, right? They're building facilities, they have scholarships, all of these different funds that they have going on campus. And so if we can come in and step into the fold and say, hey, here's something outside the box that we can drive revenue on. And again, it's an entire ecosystem we built out of business to B2B, B2C concept, right? So we have 40 or so national partnerships in different categories. And, we have, within those partnerships, there's agreement to have a reciprocated investment back into that school's NIL collective or athletic fund, where, again, we can approach individuals and say, hey, here's 40 different ways that you can help this university by just conducting business as usual, right? And so I think that's a very, very powerful place to operate from.
When you meet with different universities, different administrators, ADs, what are some of the challenges that they talk to you about? And in what ways does TheLinkU help solve that?
Yeah, I think, first and foremost, we have a very intimate process where we hire boots on the ground staffing at every institution that we're at. And so we always say the number one thing is the alignment, right? The alignment with the university, because we know, and again, I worked in college athletics, so I know the complexities and the dynamics and the relationships and how to navigate those issues. So just spending face time with everybody in the athletics department, whether it's the athletic director, obviously, compliance, and making sure everybody is aligned and on the same page, and then just having elite communication and trust. But most importantly, we're there to put sweat equity in and educate people on NIL, because I think that's a huge thing is, people see things, they read about things on NIL, and there is a big misconception, and we say it all the time. If NIL is done the right way, there's so many good things that can come out of it, and we've proven that concept now.
And you've adapted and molded to different things. How have you seen NIL change from your perspective? We talk about it on our side, but what does it look like from your perspective?
Yeah, I think, one thing that we do extremely well is we obviously have our tech backing and so strong on the compliance side of things, which, to be completely transparent, was not the most popular thing when this first started, right? Everybody was trying to figure out how to get these kids paid as soon as possible. But we always say we have 3 pillars as a company. That's protecting the student athlete, protecting the university, and protecting the sponsor. Sponsor being anybody that's, giving and supporting. And so everything is completely traceable and trackable through our software. Even if you're a sponsor, or a company doing an NIL deal with an athlete, you can go in and see exactly what's going on. You could see the athlete's proof of deliverables, right? So it gives them it's a healthy place to operate from with NIL.
How have you guys created legitimate business deals? I mean, how does it work?
Yeah, so a great example of that is Players Era tournament in Las Vegas, right? We're the official NIL platform of that tournament. And it's extremely important to us to have these athletes locked in and care and really take their time to know that somebody, whether that's a brand or an individual, is supporting them, right? And so we always say we want to bridge the gap between when the student athletes are done playing into the real world. And so we take this very serious in our time with the athletes and saying, hey, take this time to develop this relationship with this brand. Take this time to develop this relationship with this company CEO, right? And so now to see it when it first started to 2 or 3 years down the road, it's the athlete's growth has been probably my most greatest joy to watch. Is they now understand, the better relationships I have with these people, I'm going to get more opportunities.
Oh, for sure.
And even more important than that, we now have some athletes that have been hired by companies they had an NIL deal with when they were done playing, because again, they took the time to build that relationship. So I don't know what's probably more important than that, but that's just been a great joy to kind of watch throughout the last 2 or 3 years.
And that's the beautiful thing about NIL. I mean, the whole point is that they can earn revenue while they're in college, but also developing that, because let's be honest, very few are going to be able to go on and play professionally, and that bridges that gap between they don't have time to meet partners and potential job employers and things like that. So that's kind of nice. Do you have any specific success stories that you could share from that perspective?
Yes. So it's funny. I'll never forget the first team-wide dinner we did with a university, a partner of ours. This was right when NIL first started. We went to a team dinner with that CEO, and athletes are all on their phones, and there was one specific athlete that did not bring his phone out the entire time, sat right next to the business owner, and talked for 2.5 hours straight. Yes. And I was sitting in the back of the room just watching this transpire because I knew I'd tell this story one day. Fast forward a year later, kid graduates from college, is not going to play professionally, and had an internship for this company. 6 months after that, is now a full-time employee of this company. And so those type of things is just an absolute joy to see. And also, people can learn from that and see that. So that's what NIL is for, right? Yes, these athletes need to be able to earn some compensation, but also you got to put the work in, whether it's developing a relationship or pouring into this brand or pouring into these social media posts. The more you give into this process, the better it can be for you.
Just advise, since you see this space so much, this revenue generating piece for the university aspect, what's the best thing on the administrator side can do to use this avenue to bring in untapped resources?
Yeah, I think it's we always just say the alignment and the validation piece of, hey, we are going to go again, put the time in and go knock on doors and sweep the streets as much as we can to educate people on NIL and give them new ways and opportunities to get involved. But we need, at the end of the day, people are going to want to hear from an athletic director. They're going to want to hear from somebody on the inside. Hey, is this important? Do you believe in this process, right? And that's why our intimate process is so important, is making sure we have that alignment and belief within the athletic department, because those are the universities that are the most successful when they believe in what we're doing, in the process and the customer service on the back end. And so those schools and universities that we have that alignment with, that buy into the process and know that this is a completely new revenue stream that they wouldn't have otherwise, it just makes that relationship even that much greater.
Landon, thank you so much for your time and shedding light on such a hot topic right now in college athletics.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.